Today is a beautiful day. How do Arsenal fans manage to condense 22 years into one moment? All I can think of is we should probably just soak in it. Arsenal are English Premier League champions, and my, oh my, a lot of Africans are happy across Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, Namibia, Zimbabwe, you name it. 22 years, and the team has finally done it. Victoria Concordia Crescent. Victory through harmony. Well done. Well done, Arsenal. This is not the last you'll hear of that. However, Mangwanani Mwalelepo Vukenjani, Botswana Africa. Welcome to Africa. Very good morning. The news show that brings you everything you need to know from the African continent and beyond. My name is Ashwin Mbedi, or you can call me Bukayo Saka for the day. It's really up to you. However, this is a show about the news, and we need to take that seriously. So these are the stories we'll be looking at. Ebola fears grow as WHO warns outbreak may be wider than reported. Kenya transport strike suspended after talks over rising fuel costs. Hichilema warns against violence as Zambia campaign period begins. Zimbabwe rights report warns of worsening human rights environment. Kenya intensifies crackdown on smuggling of giant harvester ants. And Rorisang Mogojwe joins us from Botswana with the latest from that country. DSTV285 GOTV 25, 1up2.com, Network Media Hub, and NTVAFRIKA.MY.NA. That is where you can always watch the show. Top stories shortly.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative sport tourism.
Let's get into our top stories. People living near the center of the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo have described fear and uncertainty as the World Health Organization warned the virus may be spreading faster than initially thought. The outbreak has killed 131 people in DR Congo, while officials say more than 513 cases are suspected. One death has also been recorded in neighboring Uganda. WHO's Dr. Anne Ansia said investigations increasingly showed cases had spread into other areas and across borders. A study by the London-based MRC Center for Global Infectious Disease Analysis suggested there may already have been more than 1,000 cases, warning the outbreak's true scale remained uncertain. Residents in Ituri province said people were dying very fast and communities were scared. Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, declared the Budimbugyo Ebola outbreak in Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda a public health emergency of international concern, stating he was concerned about the scale and speed of the epidemic.
Early on Sunday, I declared a public health emergency of international concern over an epidemic of Ebola disease in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Uganda. This is the first time a Director General has declared a FIC before convening an emergency committee. I did not do this lightly. I did it in accordance with Article 12 of the International Health Regulations after consulting the ministers of health of both countries, and because I'm deeply concerned about the scale and speed of the epidemic. We will convene the emergency committee today to advise us on temporary recommendations. So far, 30 cases have been confirmed in the DRC from the northern province of Ituri. Uganda has also informed WHO of 2 confirmed cases in the capital of Kampala, including 1 death among 2 individuals who traveled from DRC. And there is 1 US citizen confirmed positive and transferred to Germany, as reported by the US. And we're working with the DRC, Uganda, and also the United States. First, beyond the confirmed cases, there are more than 500 suspected cases, 130 suspected deaths. These numbers will change as field operations are scaling up, including strengthening surveillance, contact tracing, and laboratory testing. Second, cases have been reported in urban areas, including Kampala and the city of Goma in the DRC. Third, deaths have been reported among health workers, indicating healthcare-associated transmission. Fourth, there is significant population movement in the area. The province of Ituri is highly insecure, as you may know. Conflict has intensified since late 2025, and the fighting has escalated significantly over the past 2 months, resulting in civilian deaths. Over 100,000 people have been newly displaced. And in Ebola outbreaks, you know what displacement means. The area is also a mining zone with high levels of population movement that increase the risk of further spread. And fifth, this epidemic is caused by Bundibujo virus, a species of Ebola virus for which there are no vaccines or therapeutics. In the absence of a vaccine, there are many other measures countries, of course, can take to stop the spread of this virus and save lives, even without medical countermeasures, including risk communication and community engagement. The outbreaks of Ebola and hantavirus in the past 2 weeks show why international threats need an international response. They show why the world needs the international health regulations and why it needs WHO.
Moving on. Transport operators in Kenya have suspended their nationwide strike after discussions with the government over increasing fuel prices. The suspension will remain in effect until next Tuesday to allow further negotiations. The strike had brought Nairobi and other cities to a standstill during its second day on Tuesday. Authorities said at least 4 people were killed and 30 injured during Monday's protests, while more than 700 people were arrested nationwide. Interior Minister Kipchumba Murkomen said negotiations at a higher level would continue during the coming week following consultations with public transport representatives. Federation of Public Transport Sector National Chairman Edwin Mukabane said the breakthrough was intended to give negotiations a chance, but warned the strike would resume if no progress was made within 7 days. Roads in Nairobi remained largely empty, with businesses shut and schools closed while many commuters walked to their destinations. Energy Minister Opiyo Wandayi announced diesel prices would be reduced after talks with transport representatives. Operators are demanding a larger reduction, arguing fuel prices remain far above previous levels following disruption linked to the Gulf conflict and the continued blockage of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, President Hakainde Hichilema has warned against political violence and disorder as Zambia officially entered its campaign period. In a message posted on his official social accounts, Hichilema assured citizens the country would remain peaceful, orderly and secure during the election season. Political parties are now moving from nominations into full campaign mobilization, with rallies, outreach programs and constituency operations expected to intensify in the coming weeks. weeks. Hichilema said democracy required robust debate and the free exchange of ideas, but warned that actions threatening peace, unity, public order, or national security would not be tolerated. He stated the law would apply firmly, fairly, and without favor, regardless of political affiliation or social standing. The president of Zambia added that even members of his own party would not be protected from legal consequences if they violated the law. Hichilema also announced he had directed law enforcement agencies to remain on high alert throughout the electoral process to ensure peace before, during, and after elections. He assured law-abiding citizens of the state's protection during the campaign period. The statement sets the tone as Zambia enters one of the busiest and politically active phases of the electoral calendar ahead of elections in August. Now, Zimbabwe recorded 145 human rights violations affecting more than 3,600 people in April, according to a report released by the Zimbabwe Peace Project. The organization said 3,675 people were affected, including 1,887 women and 1,788 men, describing the situation as a deteriorating human rights environment marked by intimidation, violence, and abuse of authority. The report said citizens faced threats of violence, assaults, abductions, unlawful detention, unjustified arrests, and other forms of inhuman treatment. According to the report, individuals affiliated with ZANU-PF accounted for the largest share of alleged perpetrators at 53.72%, while the Zimbabwe Republic Police accounted for 13.5%, and suspected state security agents 6.89%. The organization documented restrictions on freedom of expression and assembly alongside threats of violence and assault. Now, as we round up our top stories, Kenya is confronting what authorities describe as a new form of wildlife trafficking involving the smuggling of giant African harvester ants. Outside Nairobi, entomologist Dr. Dino Martins said the insects had become highly sought after abroad despite being common in East Africa. Queen ants of the species Mesocephalotes are reportedly being sold online for hundreds of dollars because of their red color, gentle nature, and social behavior. Martin said he was shocked after discovering the prices being paid for the queens and alarmed by reports that thousands were being collected. He explained that each colony depends on a single queen, which can live for up to 60 years and produce every ant in the nest. Kenyan authorities say the growing trade amounts to biopiracy and are increasing efforts to stop traffickers targeting the species. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. Very shortly, we will be joined by Rorisang Mogojwe as she delivers the Botswana Report. But prior to that, let's have a look at the weather. It's time for us to be joined by our correspondent in Botswana as she delivers the Botswana Report from Gaborone. Good morning, Dumelang Rorisang.
Dumelang, good morning. It's always a pleasure to be here on Africa. Good morning.
It's always a pleasure having you here. Of course, our first story carries significant gravity. Botswana's former president, Festus Mogae, was laid to rest.
Botswana's former president, Festus Mogae, was laid to rest on Saturday in Gaborone. In a state funeral that saw family members, dignitaries, as well as the general public at large converging under one roof to celebrate and honor the life and legacy of the statesman, many described him as a leader that was selfless, full of integrity, and was a big proponent of democracy. President Duma Boko paid tribute to Mogojwe, describing him as a leader who protected the democratic space and strengthened free expression by embracing open and often robust public debate. Former President Ian Khama also remembered Mogojwe as having been very calm, soft-spoken, and a unifying leader who prioritized dialogue, humility, and steady governance, which was responsible for his success in steering the country forward. A 3-volley salute was performed during the state funeral, which marked full military honors for the former commander-in-chief. Mogojwe's presidency coincided, as we might recall, with a period of very strong economic expansion, which was largely driven by diamond revenues and underpinned national development, fiscal sustainability, as well as sustained investment in infrastructure and social programs. He also played a key role in strengthening governance system, promoting macroeconomic discipline, and reinforcing Botswana's reputation for prudent economic management in a rapidly growing resource-based economy. And just beyond the economy, Mogojwe is also remembered for his leadership during the height of the HIV and AIDS crisis in Botswana, where his administration took bold policy steps that drew global recognition. In attendance at his state funeral were former heads of state from the SADC region who were also in attendance and reflected his regional stature and influence across not only the country but across the SADC region and the world at large. May his soul rest in peace.
May his soul rest in peace indeed. Now, Rorisang, we know in Namibia last week there was a lot of buzz around some of the provisions that China had issued with regards to trade with the country, as well as, of course, exporters. Now, exporters in Botswana have now gained duty-free access to China. Tell us about it.
The Ministry of Trade and Investment announced yesterday that this arrangement took effect on the 1st of May, and it will allow local products to enter China without any import duties. And it is a move that is expected to boost exports, expand production, as well as create jobs for locals. Now, key benefiting sectors will include beef, textiles, livestock, horticulture, processed foods, leather, as well as arts and crafts. Now, the Botswana Unified Revenue Services, or the BRS, has already fast-tracked customs and export procedures, including rules of origin and certification, in order to support the implementation of this initiative. And while we're still on international relations, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to undertake a state visit to Botswana from today at the invitation of President Duma Boko. Now, the two leaders are set to co-chair the 6th session of the Botswana-South Africa Bi-National Commission tomorrow on Thursday, where talks will focus on deepening cooperation in trade, energy, water, tourism, innovation, defense, as well as regional integration. The government says that this visit is expected to reinforce the long-standing relationship and strategic partnership between Botswana and South Africa, with several bilateral agreements as well as memoranda of understanding expected to be signed. Ramaphosa is also expected to visit the Botswana Vaccine Institute and attend the Botswana South Africa Business Forum, and he will be accompanied by a delegation of ministers, senior officials, as well as business leaders.
All right, now some good news in the sporting world. Rorisang as Orange Botswana has signed Tungamili Raguin, the rising tennis star, as its brand ambassador.
This is exciting news for the sporting fraternity, Ashwin. The young tennis sensation Tungamili Raguin is the company's second brand ambassador, just after Olympic star Litsile Tebogo. Now, this partnership is expected to strengthen Orange Botswana's investment in young talent as the company continues to use sport in order to inspire discipline, ambition, as well as global competitiveness among young sporting Botswana. Now, Tungamili is fast building an international profile through strong performances on the junior tennis circuit, and he's actually gaining a lot of growth in terms of continental recognition. He has represented Botswana in key international competitions and has emerged as one of Africa's promising young tennis talents, and he has multiple junior titles under his belt, which signals a rising career trajectory. Now, Orange Botswana says the partnership reflects its long-term commitment to nurturing young people with the drive to compete beyond borders, while pursuing sport as a platform for visibility and national pride. Now, tennis is one of the growing sporting codes in Botswana, and so Ntungamili's rise presents a powerful opportunity to shine a spotlight on emerging talent that actually contributes to the sporting development of the country. And so he will, through his ambassadorship, feature on Orange Botswana's campaigns, youth programs, digital content, as well as community activations. As the company says, it will continue to deepen its investment in youth development through sport.
Thank you very much, Rorisang, for joining us and delivering the Botswana Report. Okay, so that's the end of the show. But for Arsenal fans, that is the beginning of the celebration. Mikel Arteta, I love you very, very much. But what we do love, a lot of us, and we have no choice but to, is paying attention to the markets. So we're going to end the show having a look at our economic indicators on DSTV285, GOTV285, oneup2.com, Network Media Hub, and NTVAFRIKA.MY.NA. Celebrate responsibly. Sweat has